Hey guys, Matthew here and welcome to this final update of my Hideout to Headhunter series. So in this update, I actually don't have a physical Headhunter, unlike the other challenges that I've done. Now the reason why I don't have a physical Headhunter for this specific challenge is because I won't be playing PoE for the next few days, and I didn't want to just basically have to wait until this stuff sold to make an update in like a week, if you know I'm not just because I'm not playing PoE essentially. So I decided to make the update because in terms of value we are way above a Headhunter, as you'll see in the value here of the items that we have. We have about 100x in our tab here. We have another 45, 20, 20 there, so that's you know, about 90x of items there. I also had a bunch of prophecies and maps and all that, like T1 maps from prophecy farming. They're not worth a ton, but I had a bunch of those, a bunch of bases for something I'll be talking about, Tailwind boots that I did yesterday. Had a bunch of stuff that was worth a few exalts, but I just deleted it because I couldn't, you know, I didn't want to bother selling items for 10c each. But essentially, in terms of value, we're well over 200 exalts, and this was all generated. If we look at my stream, the challenge started right here. The first hour and a half in there was deciding on the build, so 6 hours and a half, 7 hours, 6 hours and 45 minutes, and then it took 2 hours yesterday, or 2 hours and a half until we were done or something. So anyways, I did the math on it, and it took a total of 23.25 hours to generate roughly 200 exalt worth of currency. So if we do that, we can see that on average, I have been making about 8.6 exalts per hour for the duration of the series. And of course, at the beginning, when we had no currency, we were making a lot less, right? So the idea here, and what I'm trying to really drive home with this series again, is the idea that the more currency you have when it comes to crafting, the more currency you can make, because the more items you can afford to make at the same time, right? And if you have a lot of items at the same time, you're increasing your odds of selling these items, because you never know, right? One person might need fire resistance on their boots, but the next person might need some strength on their boots. One person might need, you know, avoid ailments on their chest piece, and the other person might want percent life. So if you have a little bit of everything, you're increasing your odds of actually selling this stuff. So essentially, that's what happened there. Now, if we look at the actual items that I have for sale, I'll be talking about the boots, but otherwise, from yesterday's update, the only thing that I have left is this chest piece here, the elevated attacks, the one that has avoid ailments. I thought it would sell a little bit quicker than that, but that's okay. I could recraft it, you know, to have percent life or even spell dodge, but I'm not really interested because of the T7 life. So I'm kind of just going to leave it there, maybe keep lowering the price until it just goes away. Because as I said, I'm like 50x plus on the Headhunter value, or sorry, 40x above. So even if I don't sell some of this stuff, I should be able to afford my Headhunter for this series. So that's pretty much that. Otherwise, the shield, that was an accidental flip that I mentioned. The other chest piece, a lot of the other stuff has been sold already. Okay, so let's talk about what we did yesterday to finalize the challenge. The first thing that I did is I decided to look at the price of Tailwind boots, because I wanted to basically craft some boots myself, and I saw that they were about 1.3x, and some guy had like 3 pairs. So I messaged him like, I'll buy all 3 pairs. Because I was going to make some Awakener Orbed boots with those, and he never responded. So I thought, is he price fixing or something? That's weird. Why does he not respond? So I was like, well, I guess I'll make my own then. So I kind of looked, and I had a look to see that, you know, Tailwind, if you were to try to chaos spam it, is 240 chaos. So now, right now, what you can do instead is use alchemies, which are like very cheap, like 1 to 7, 1 to 6, and then scours, which are about 1 to 2 chaos, or 2 to 1 chaos, I should say. So you can basically get the value of 2 chaos per attempt for 1 chaos. So on average, they would cost you 120c to make, right? Which is less than 1x, and they sell for 1.3, so that's profit. But now the thing is, you can actually go a step further here. The base will actually matter a lot, so this is something that I kind of ignored, but just because I was being lazy. But if you wanted to do this for pure profit, what you're interested in is actually boots that are either pure dexterity, which is pure evasion. As you can see, we went from 240 chaos to 197, which is a pretty massive drop. That's 40 chaos less, or in our case here, 20 additional chaos profit per pair. The other option is to go with pure strength. It's also 197. The third option is basically intelligence, 220. So as you can see, there's a pretty massive bump. And then after that, essentially, the hybrid ones are going to be the worst at 224, 240, strength and int being the worst, the absolute worst, alongside dex and ints. Strength and dex is 220. But what you would want essentially is dex or strength. But the thing is, you can actually go a step further. We dropped this down from 240 to 197, but if you actually paid attention to item level, if you were to get boots that were below item level 84, which adds a lot of, potential outcomes on your rolls, so let's just say 83, you can actually bring that down to 187, and if you wanted to really go ham, you can actually buy, like, let's say 78 and below. You can't go below 75, so between 75 and 78, and at 78 it's 178, which at that point is a massive drop from the 240 chaos if you're not trying to optimize this. So at 178 chaos, let's just round that up to 180. If you're getting 2 attempts with alks and scours, that's about 90 chaos worth to get a pair of boots that sells for 1.3x or so. You're basically over doubling your money, which is pretty decent. And it doesn't stop there. If you're actually to do this method where you're basically rolling a bunch of pairs of boots, when you do get Tailwind, if you get it with any other influence modifier, then you have the opportunity to Maven Orbed to get elevated Tailwind, or just sell it as a basically a base that somebody else can decide if they want to Maven Orb, right, and gamble. And if you have any other stat, instead of selling for about 1.3x, they sell for over 2x with any other affix, which is pretty damn juicy. Because now at that point, you're looking at over tripling your money. Now, of course, those are very, very, very rare, but they will happen eventually. Anyway, so that's kind of what I did. I did that for pretty much, I want to say 2 hours and a half. I believe I got 6 pairs. No, I got 7 pairs. No, wait, was it more than that? Oh yeah, it was actually more than that, because I got 6 pairs, right, the full row at the top of Tailwind boots, and then I got 1 pair which had another influence modifier, which I did end up Maven Orbing, and I actually got lucky. I got the elevated Tailwind, so that sold for 11 exalts. And then I also got 2 additional pairs after that. So I think that's like a total of 8 or 9. So that wasn't super profitable because I wasn't trying to maximize it. It was still profit, but just very little. After that, however, I went ahead and crafted the boots myself. Instead of selling them as just a Tailwind pair of boots, I went ahead and crafted them. So what I did, I'll show you guys, I basically made 3 pairs of boots. And then the rest of the Tailwind pairs I basically sold, and the elevated I also sold. And as part of these boots, as I was doing that, I also got some really, really good boots. One of them had 70 life, 30 move speed, and an open suffix for res. I sold those for, I believe, I want to say 7 exalts or something. And then I had another pair which had Tailwind, 70 life, and double resistances. So I crafted move speed on those, and I sold them for 3 exalts. So those were actually massive profit just from basically scour alking, right? So that was pretty good. But in the 3 pairs that I made, the first one that I went ahead and Awakener Orb was this, which is non-effect of damaging elements. This is basically focusing on self-chill berserkers, which is pretty well, not just berserkers, but self-chill in general, which is a pretty popular build this league. Alongside Tailwind, I got T6 stun and block recovery. So at that point, I forced on the elusive, which with suffixes cannot be changed, reforged plus crit. And I just decided not to unveil them as the suffix was so bad. I was like, it's not worth it. If I get like cannot be chilled, they're literally never going to sell. I'm just going to sell them for, a few X, basically what it cost me to make them. Even if they sold for 6X, I would actually still make profit. I would have to sell them for 5X in order to make 0 profit. So I was like, whatever. I don't even care if they sell or not. Technically, I already have plenty of currency to finish my challenge. Then there was the chest piece that I already spoke about yesterday. Then I made another pair, and this one I actually got T2 cold res on the Awakener's Orb. But the thing is, I also got 35 move speed. So I decided to just craft on life and sell them for 20x. But realistically, what I could do and what I probably will do is I'll recraft them, and then I'll force on the elusive, and then I'll unveil for move speed, and then I'll craft on life, and then they'll be worth anywhere between 30 and 35x, which is technically still a net positive compared to the investment that I have to put in if I was selling them at 20x. I'll make an additional 5x profit because forcing on elusive and unveiling is only 5x. They'll be worth at least 30. So I'll make an extra 5x profit there, but again, I don't have to, so I decided to just put them up for sale. And then this one was the big kicker that really just drove up our currency to the max. I actually got T1 Chaos Res on the Awakener's Orb. So yes, I got really lucky, I feel, on a lot of crafts in this series. Getting some T2 Res as suffixes on the Awakener's Orb is definitely not something you can expect to happen very often, so I was pretty happy. But T1 Chaos Res, realistically, if these boots were elevated Tailwind and elevated damage, effective non-damaging elements, they would actually be mirror tier. That's how good these boots are. Unfortunately, I wasn't doing elevated because I was going for budget. But I went ahead and did the elusive, self-lock, reforged plus crits, got me some elusive on there, and then I went for the unveil, hoping that I wouldn't get cannot be chilled, because that would brick my boots. I'd have to do it again. But I actually got the best thing that I could have gotten, which is move speed and move speed if you haven't been hit recently, because that's a total of 42 movement speed, which is way better than, say, even T1. And of course, I also got the 70 life crafted there. So these are worth about 45x, and actually they are worth more than that. I'm severely underpricing these boots. There was a few people who tried to buy them like right after I made them, but I knew that it was, viewers, so I decided not to sell it to them. Even if one of the person was actually playing the build that required that these boots were made for, just to try to be more ethical. But realistically, these boots are over 50x ults pretty easily, especially with the T1 Chaos Res, especially with that, 42 move speed over there, and all that good stuff. It's a very, very nice pair of boots. But again, I got really, really lucky on that. Matter of fact, when I did my 3 pairs of boots, Tailwind was worth about 1.3x, so let's say 4x for that. Awakener's Orb 1.5, so that's a total of 4.5. Redeemer's Exalts were, I believe, 1.2, so that's like 3.6. And then the bases were just a few chaos. And with just those, and of course, crafting on the elusive and unveiling for a total of 5x here, 2x there, and nothing for this pair of boots because it just came like that on the Awakener's Orb. I got so much value, it's actually pretty insane. I made like a total of maybe 30 or 40x profit off of 3 pairs of boots, which is absolutely not something you can expect to do every single time. But it just goes to show that when you're crafting, there are some times where you will be lucky, and when you do get lucky, you're going to make a lot of profit. And when you get unlucky, like for example on these boots, you actually still make a profit. It's just not a big profit. So anyways, that's pretty much what I crafted yesterday in order to get myself over the threshold of my Headhunter goal. Now again, I won't be playing PoE for the next few days as there's a big last epoch update coming out, and I'll be playing that for a while. So I'm just going to transfer all this currency to my main account, and then when I come back to PoE after my little last epoch journey, I will be doing another challenge, which is going to be boss killing to Headhunter. So hopefully you guys stay tuned for that challenge as well. Now, before I go, as always, I want to say a massive thank you to my supporters: Flame Scorpion, Richard, Willie, Alex, Jordan, ML, Raymond, Tim, Scott, Lost of the Map, Grimoire, Nathaniel, Kremitz, Justin, Kevin, the other Justin, So Nice, Axel, Mercury, and Bizen, as well as a massive, massive thank you to everybody listed down below. Also, massive thank you to anybody who has supported me in the past or who wishes to remain anonymous. Now, hopefully, you guys learned some stuff for the the duration of this challenge. Let me know in the comment section how you if you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.